I thought you'd want to hear from John. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you, Congressman Pittenger, Lucas Rojas, and all the team at the Parliamentary Intelligence and Security Forum. We can turn the lights up if you want to. I want to thank you parliamentarians who are here because you care. And I want to thank the U.S. Senate for welcoming us to this historic room in the Dirksen Building. And as my esteemed friends, the Congressman and John, have so eloquently expressed, there's no shortage of security threats facing us today. There are dozens of countries represented in this room, each with their own unique strategic challenges, but some challenges are universal. And as we gather here, I want to emphasize not only some of the common threats we face, but also put forth a common vision and that we can all embrace to strengthen our nations in an increasingly dangerous world. Put simply, the world is hungry for a prosperous and better future. And I think strong, beneficial American leadership, much like Ronald Reagan's famous saying, peace through strength. I believe we seek a positive path forward, and this path is not only possible, but necessary. It seems today's challenges are endless. We face an increasingly aggressive Chairman Xi and the Chinese Communist Party as it looks to expand its influence on all fronts, from military buildup and strategic dominance of mineral supply chains to the Belt and Road Initiative that threatens to trap developing countries in insurmountable debt, along with the military that follows the projects. We're experiencing unparalleled propaganda, bribery of our elected leaders, spying and theft, abuse of our open legal systems, and meanwhile, Taiwan sits on the precipice. North Korea increases its military testing, and at the same time, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has served as a sobering wake-up call about the geopolitical weakness of the West. And the attack on Israel and the aggression of Iran only serve to further cement the precarious times in which we live. And these adversarial nations have created strategic partnerships and weaponized our international institutions like the UN and WHO, and we won't eat the bugs. And meanwhile, our US borders are wide open, and it seems like parliamentarians across the globe aren't interested in championing the interests of the people they represent. Today, as the elites gather in Dubai for COP28 and pontificate on the climate agenda once again, it's abundantly clear that many leaders are failing their citizens. Take the purposeful US energy disarmament of the current administration, and more broadly, the West's embrace of the anti-energy agenda. This weakens our global security. It impoverishes our citizens, and it weakens our influence and empowers the aggression of nations like Russia and Iran. It increases their control over energy supplies and raises oil prices. Our weakened global leadership means developing nations may look to China as a partner, in part because Western nations refuse to finance fossil fuel projects. It's telling that even the president of COP28 noted that the push for the rapid phase-out of fossil fuels would be unrealistic unless you want to take the world back into the caves. It's no wonder that developing nations are rejecting this model. Just look at the recent unprecedented pressure on farmers in the Netherlands and the election of Geert Wilders. Policies that promote scarcity are furthering the mass migration of people, mostly young men, driven by a search for a better life. It's disrupting cultures, economies, and security in the developed world and robbing their home countries of talent and growth. Yet at the same time, those who partner with totalitarian communist nations like China do so not only to the detriment of Western democratic influence, but at their own peril. Fortunately, these policy failures have a clear remedy. Put simply, we must advance a pro-human agenda. This begins by putting forward pro-growth agendas and common sense principles that put our citizens first. This means refusing to embrace ideologies that reject basic principles that we all understand. We know that energy security is economic security, and economic security is national security. This is at the heart of human flourishing, and it drives the prosperity that underpins innovation and environmental progress, and we must secure this for our citizens. The radical climate agenda has become a rallying cry for anti-human degrowth policies. It's an America Last agenda, but even more than that, it's a mankind last agenda. International institutions are promoting this agenda that's encroaching into national sovereignty to promote poverty instead of prosperity and control instead of freedom. As King Charles recently said, the age of convenience is over. How rich. Sounds like something from the early Middle Ages. We're already seeing its consequences. However, the fortunate truth is we have an alternate path if we only embrace it. We have the opportunity to be true representatives of the interests of our people. The United States is blessed with incredible resources, and it's uniquely positioned to be a global leader and support our partners and allies. Though our current leadership is faltering, the democratic spirit of the American people will embrace American strength again. On all fronts of the unrestricted threats we face today, without exporting unwelcome ideologies to our trading partners. Nations across the globe should commit to contributing to a brighter future where human beings flourish. And this must include stopping the anti-energy agenda that outsources energy security to our adversaries. Instead, we drill, we mine, and refine our resources where we already have the highest labor and environmental standards, and we export energy security to our allies. We promote all kinds of energy, especially cheap, reliable, and sustainable energy, including nuclear energy. And we promote pro-human policies across the board. We reject the idea that we have to emulate PRC-style command and control economy to succeed against China. And we reject a zero-sum game in favor of policies that promote prosperity for all. The US knows that pro-human values include our God-given right to liberty, are not only in harmony with, but necessary to our long-term security. One of America's founders, Benjamin Franklin, famously said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." All nations can learn from this. We can start with a common embrace of economic freedom and energy freedom that will liberate our world from poverty, strengthen our nations, and build a better life for future generations. And together, we can create freedom, prosperity, and security in a dangerous world. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. And if you'd like to, okay, well, you can come up too. Okay. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you, John. Very much appreciate your leadership. And I've asked Congressman and Ambassador to come up. And we've got about 10 minutes or so left. I'd like to get an overview of your efforts and work on human sex trafficking. And so you can speak together and you can speak from there.
Thank you so much. This is one of those areas that when I first came on board in this arena, I felt it was one of my pillars. I've always believed that freedom is at the bottom line of any of our progress. I've seen our country that's come out of that process and become a more perfect union. What I'm excited about with Ann's initiatives is how we've brought our world together and the different governments to have this very, very important conversation. It's something that's happening under our noses. It's something as we go out and kind of live in our freedom bubble, build our businesses, our lives, our future, making memories, is happening in the darkness. And it's so important that we never forget that they are the most innocent out there that needs our help, that needs our attention. And we cannot turn our eyes away as we move on to things that are much more fun to think about. This is our opportunities, and I'm just so appreciative of those who've kind of taken that time to make sure this is a very high priority for them, because it only takes a few of us together with the right focus, the right message, the right passion to save lives and to give hope to so many people who might think that right now they're forgotten. So I want to thank Ann again and for everything you guys are doing to make sure this is it remains a highlight, and it will continue to remain a highlight within our Congress for sure.
Thank you, and I'm grateful as well for the Congressman Pittenger. He actually initiated the birth of the Interparliamentary Task Force on Human Trafficking several years ago. The intersection with human trafficking and global security is especially important, and that is really what sets it apart from every other human rights issue, is that actually human trafficking funds every single adversarial nation that we've mentioned today, and I'm talking slavery. So whether it's China or Russia, whether it's the Democratic Republic of Congo, which I know Congressman Owens had a great amendment on with mining, it all is funded in part by slavery and human trafficking. And that is why it is not just a humanitarian issue, but it is one that really needs to take center stage globally, in my opinion, as the greatest humanitarian crisis in the world today. We have nearly 50 million people estimated to be enslaved right now on the planet. That is more than at any other time in human history. And because of that, I really believe that we have got to have a global effort towards this. Human trafficking is a borderless crime. In June, actually, of this year, in this very room, I testified on the intersection between what's happening on our southern border in the United States and security issues with human trafficking. And there is a direct connection between those two things. So I'm grateful to all of you today. I'm especially grateful for Congressman Pittenger, because years ago he saw this connection and really wanted to highlight it between trafficking and global security. And I'm really grateful to all of you for being here today and prioritizing this, especially at this time of year. Thank you.
Informative and diverse panel. Do we have any questions before we complete this session? Yes, sir. There's a mic. Vladimir, with the mic. Macedonia came through again.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Nicholas Fest. I'm a member of the European Parliament. I have a question to John. John, could you give us a figure how much the US is spending on protecting the Straits of Hormuz per year? And why aren't you, let's say, giving this task to the Chinese? Because that would somehow bind a lot of maritime forces by China. To take care of what actually is in their own interest. So is there some kind of strategy to let China do this? Thank you.
Thank you. So one, I don't know the precise figure for what it costs to defend the Straits of Hormuz, but certainly it's an important part of an $850 billion defense budget annually right now, which, by the way, I don't want to emphasize should continue to expend without significant reform. We waste a lot of money in our defense bureaucracy. We could probably do a lot better with projecting military power, strength, and defending our allies and our shared interests at a better price, but that's a domestic issue we need to work out. I think probably the last country that the Pentagon or the White House would like to have partner in defending vital shipping lanes is China right now. China has undertaken under Xi Jinping an extraordinarily belligerent and aggressive foreign policy, especially against all of its Asian neighbors. but we're very concerned about the potential nefarious consequences of China's activities in the Middle East, especially the rapprochement that it brought together between Iran and Saudi Arabia earlier this year because of a vacuum in American diplomacy, right? Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does geopolitics. So I think that we don't trust China right now, the Communist Party of China. And again, I want to emphasize what Jonathan said earlier and Matt Pottinger this morning. We're talking about distinct entities. There's the Chinese people, and then there's the Communist Party of China. Anything that happens at a governmental level is the Communist Party of China. And we don't see how it benefits any of the peoples in the Middle East, nor the shipping lanes that are required to get oil and natural gas to our Asian allies or to our European allies, and having the Communist Party of China, quote unquote, safeguarding them. They have no concern for their own neighbors. Everything that they look to do is to maintain absolute Leninist control over the people of China. So we don't believe that they would be doing those activities, they would be undertaking those operations for a shared international benefit. It would be purely to exploit to China's best interests. We don't think that's the way to proceed, especially in a tinderbox region like the Middle East is right now.
And
But
look
thank
at
you.
how they're behaving at the Panama Canal for an example of what you get giving them that power.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, hello, I'm Audie van der Wouwer, a Belgian senator, and I have first a question to John Stylides, how do I pronounce?
Stylides.
Stylides, excuse me for
Pontian
my
Greek.
pronunciation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I didn't agree with most of it, but it were very interesting insights. I do have to,
Thank you. I
to
appreciate
say
the
that.
compliment. Thank you. And it's good to agree to disagree. This is what we do
Absolutely.
in democratic societies. So, good.
Absolutely. But I have one question. You said that the situation in Ukraine as a friend and a partner, but not an ally, is not a threat to the U.S. Homeland Security.
Correct.
But don't you think that if there's not support anymore from the United States, the most important actor on the global scene for Ukraine might weaken Ukraine, and the result on the long term is that we have a very aggressive violator, Russia, who feels that there are no borders, that they can do whatever they want, so that might become a threat to the world order, and so the security in the United States.
I get the question. I get it. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
let me
And
answer
then,
that, because I know we're short on time. Can I answer
and
that
also
question?
a question, then I will stay seated. To the ambassador, you said that now there's a weakened global leadership during this Biden administration. Are you serious saying that? Compared to what? Compared to the Trump administration on the global
mean
scene?
compared to
United States is back now.
You mean
thanks
compared to
the
4 years of peace? That's what you're talking
no,
about.
compared
But
to
we don't
now,
have-
the United States are
Sir.
back on the international scene,
Sir,
and
all right.
God thanks, because we all need the
Sir,
United States.
let's respect everyone here. You asked
Yes,
me a
but I
question.
wanted
You
to ask
asked
if
me a
it was a
serious question.
serious
I'll give you a
question, yes.
serious answer, and I won't address an unserious question. So, yes, Ukraine gives us an extraordinary foreign policy dilemma today. There's no easy answer to Ukraine. But the bottom line is that American foreign policy isn't only about Ukraine. We have to deal with a number of crises around the world. We have essentially depleted our military inventory of rockets, of ammunition, of artillery shells to provide for Ukraine for the last 2 years. Now that Iran has invaded Israel through Hamas, we have to now find inventory to provide to Israel, because we don't know how long this war is going to take, or if Hezbollah attacks from the north, or if Lion's Den and Palestinian Islamic Jihad invades from the West Bank. And we don't know if there's going to be a kinetic invasion of Taiwan. Now, that's a strategic threat to the United States. Ukraine is a very important issue for the U.S. for all the issues that you rightly raise, but it is not a strategic threat to the United States. The downfall of Taiwan is a direct strategic threat to the entire international trading system and to the United States because of China's ability to project power deep into the Pacific Ocean and to threaten the Western United States. That's a short answer to a very good question, so thank you very much.
Can I answer that, please?
And I'll give an answer.
Congressman, Burgess?
Can I answer this, guys? I would hope, we might have different views on the spectrum, but what John has said today is remarkably intelligent, wise, and insightful. So instead of battling the information we just got, please embrace it. Know that the worst thing that's happened to our country right now is at the border. 8 million people have come to that border. no country can survive if there's no way of vetting. You will never let that kind of flow into your home. You lock your door because you want to make sure whoever comes there can be trusted, can be safe. We're going to be dealing with some very strong issues, my friends. This means millions of young men who are coming from other countries who have no idea what America's about, cannot assimilate because they don't even know our language, don't know our history. We're going to be dealing with some very strong issues, and we cannot defend anyone around the world. We cannot defend our own country. So no, the last 2.5 years has been a disaster. I cannot emphasize that enough. I don't know anything that we've done right to give confidence around the world about what America is doing right now. And I tell you what, my friends, we need to come together on this. I mean, we can have different views, but we the people come together when we know we're a threat. And right now, we are truly in a hard spot. So, John, thank you for your insight. I really appreciate it.
And then regarding Ukraine, Ukraine is part of Europe. European nations are rich. They give their citizens free health care, free education, and a very rich pension. The United States, we don't get free health care. We don't get free education. We're paying for your security. We pay an outsized amount to NATO. Europe needs to step up and take care of Europe. We have big problems in Asia, and now we have the Middle East. Under President Trump, and facts are hard things, this is not political, we had no new wars. He defeated and took out ISIS. He created the Abraham Accords and began historic Middle Eastern peace. We had no American soldiers die in the last 18 months in Afghanistan. Under President Biden, we had the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, the American deaths, and now they've taken Afghanistan back. We have seen China be more belligerent than ever. Russia invade Ukraine. None of this would have happened under strong American leadership. That's not political, it's just facts, and facts are stubborn things.
Thank you very much.